Now, if you don't know yet or you haven't seen it already, Encanto is this beautiful and magical new Disney animated movie with a wonderful storyline, just really inspiring. But it caught my eye for a completely different reason, and it doesn't happen to me often at all. I don't watch a movie or an animated movie or a TV show and go like, oh my god, I absolutely have to have this. Not at all. But when I was looking at Mirabel's outfit, her skirt looked really familiar. And for a good reason, because we've seen these skirts done time and time again. They come in a fashion, they go out of fashion, but the fact is they're actually really comfortable, especially for summertime. Whoa, 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 hold your horses, it's still winter time. Why are we talking about summer wardrobe? Because we are creative people, and if we leave everything for the last minute, it will never get done. First, I usually start with a sketch because then I can really gather my thoughts and then be really organized, and it really truly helps. So if you haven't tried sketching out before you start your project, definitely do. That's like an extra little tip for me. If you look at Mirabel's skirt, you will see that the waist is actually not gathered, which makes me think that the waistband is done with a zipper, so that way it sits really nice against the waist and hips, but then it flares out towards the bottom. Now I have to say that Mirabel's skirt truly is just an inspiration, sort of a starting point for this whole idea, because the final result is not going to look anything like her skirt, but that's what the inspiration is there for, right? To get the starting point of the journey, and then who knows where that road is gonna lead us. I'm gonna go and grab my trusted little binder, which is far from little. I actually think I need to have a second binder because this one is way too puffy. And I'm gonna pull out my pencil skirt pattern. So basically, I'm gonna go ahead, take this pencil skirt, I'm gonna copy just the top part of it on the new tracing paper, and then we're gonna start building the yoke for the front and the back, and then really flowy when we go down and create the tiers of the skirt. So that for now is the idea. And you know what? That feeling that I've seen this skirt somewhere really couldn't leave me alone. And I went digging through some of my old photos, and sure enough, 10 years ago, and I think actually a little bit more like 12 years ago, my mom gave me a very similar skirt. It was this bright neon green, and I actually liked it, but it was so long, I decided to remake it into a dress, and that's the reason why you see it being worn as a dress. All right, now that that is done, I'm gonna put this aside, and then I'm gonna go ahead and grab some painter's tape or scotch tape, and we're gonna do some dart manipulation to get rid of the darts, so that way the front yoke is just one beautiful piece, and the back yoke, both of them. It's also going to make it a lot easier if you need to line it, for example. That is still a question that I have because I don't know what fabric I'm going to be using. So yeah, lots of questions. So let's get back to work. Now I know that darts can be a really scary topic, especially when you're just starting in sewing. It can be pretty intimidating, but I'm here to tell you that darts are a lot of fun, especially once you understand what a dart is. I have a couple of videos on that topic on the channel, so if you're really not familiar with darts, definitely check them out. And dart manipulation is one of the easiest ways how to play around with your sewing patterns. So basically what we're doing, imagine that this is a dart. Well, we're closing it up, but because we closed it up, we need to let that volume out somewhere, so we're gonna let it out on the bottom. So that's exactly what I'm doing here with this pattern piece for the top of the skirt. Now, once that is done, I have to tidy it up just a little bit, because once you start playing around with things and opening darts and doing this and that, your pattern skews just a tiny bit. So we're gonna tidy it up, and then I got real excited. You know that moment when your idea really starts to come to life and you can almost feel it and touch it, but you haven't even cut your fabric yet. So that's what I went to do the next. I decided to grab a couple of fabric cuts that I had planned for this project, and I decided to do a twirl test and see which one of these would be really great for the skirt. And what I was looking for was something that would be light, colorful for summer, that would really go well with kids or sneakers or something like that. Something that would also have enough length and width because we will need it for the skirt. And spoiler alert, aqua or teal color is not my favorite. So although this skirt is inspired by Mirabel's Encanto outfit, yeah, we're not going to be making a teal skirt. honestly still can't decide because both of these are really amazing. This one is polyester though, but this is closer to cotton. I don't remember the composition of each one of these, but this one I'm pretty sure is polyester, and this one is a little bit closer to cotton, or maybe cotton blend of some sort. But the ultimate thing that it's gonna come down to is the math. So I have to do the math first. The top tier is just a pattern, so it is as it is, but the bottom two tiers going to be gathered to create that swishy volume, so that's what I have to figure out. I think I have an answer. So I want the second layer to be 9 inches this way and 66 inches this way, so that will give me quite a lot of beautiful gathers, and the second and the bottom layer to be 14 inches this way and 99 inches this way. Now I just have to make sure that I have a piece of fabric that is big enough to accommodate all of this. Okay, anytime I do the math, it also helps to have this in front of you so that way you can have some visual understanding of what is going on. So right now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna measure this all out and see if the fabric that I have here is enough. And of course I have to take in consideration the waistband as well, because I did not include that into my calculations. But it shouldn't really take that much because the waistband is going to be maybe 2 inches, so 4 inches altogether, because we're going to be cutting it on a fold. At this point I just have to lay it all out flat and really do some calculations. Okay, so right now it seems that I can make the skirt out of this fabric, but I'm missing just a couple of inches of length, of the total length. So I'm thinking I'm just gonna make one of the layers a little bit shorter, or both of the layers a little bit shorter by the same amount, so that way I can fit in. I'm literally missing just like a couple of inches of length. So instead of making one layer 9 inches long, I can make it 8. And the other one, instead of being 14, I can just make it 13, and there we go. We have solved the problem. The next step is, of course, cutting the pattern pieces, which is easy because the top layer is the pattern that we just made from the pencil skirt, and the bottom two are just really long rectangles, and you saw the math a little bit earlier. Now, you might be wondering, why am I cutting mine a little bit bigger? And the reason is very simple, is because when I draft my patterns, I don't include seam allowances on the paper pattern, but of course we have to have seam allowances, so I add them as I cut my fabric. I have everything I need here right in front of me. Don't forget, if you are making a skirt like this, you will need a zipper. You can either go for invisible, like I am right over here, or you can go just for a regular zipper, whichever way you prefer, whichever way you feel comfortable, really. So I think I'm gonna get started with assembling the gathered panels first. And once that is done, I'm gonna go and assemble the top part. And I know this is kind of backwards. This really is the most time-consuming thing because you have to hem it, and there's a lot of it, then you have to gather, then you have to attach, and there's a lot of it. So at one point it might get a little bit confusing because there's 4 panels. So I want to get that done first and then go and assemble this tiny itty-bitty top part, which should be no problem at all. It should go pretty quick versus doing this. First, I put the right sides together of the longest rectangle and I sewed them at the short edge, pretty much creating a really big loop. For those who are interested, the assembly of this pattern is real straightforward. I'm just using a straight stitch to connect the pattern pieces, and then I'm using a serger to prevent the edges of the fabric from fraying. But you can of course use your sewing machine and a zigzag stitch or overcast stitch on it, or you can also opt for like French seams or anything else that's a little bit fancier than just a straight stitch and a zigzag. Since I already had my serger out, I had this idea that, wait a second, why wouldn't I finish the bottom edge of the bottom layer as a rolled hem technique on a serger? Because, well, for 2 reasons. Number one, it only uses a tiny bit of fabric to create that beautiful finishing, and fabric was something that I was in short supply for this project. And number two, it really looked really nice and lightweight, so I was like, okay, let's get this done. By the way, if you have a serger and you want to try a rolled hem, it's really easy to do, nothing to be scared of. Just make sure that you try it on the scrap piece of fabric first, and then look up in your serger manual the settings for your rolled hem, and I can guarantee you're going to love it. It's so nice. I was so happy the way it turned out. I even took a picture and sent the picture to a friend who also sews clothes. So yeah, if you have it, try it out. Now I'm gonna do the longest straight stitch on the top edge of the bottom layer, so that way later on I can gather it and create this beautiful swooshy bottom layer. But in order for me to be able to attach it to the middle layer, I have to sew up the middle layer the same way that we did the bottom layer. Right sides together, pin it at the short sides, and straight stitch, and then a zigzag or a serger. This project, if you're doing it on your own, definitely is just a couple of hours worth of sewing and pattern drafting and stuff like that. But when you're filming stuff like this, it definitely takes like 10 times longer. So by the time I was kind of getting close to the end, my daughter came back from daycare. So she joined me in to lend her helping hand in the creation of the skirt. After that is done, your middle layer is sewn together in a loop, your bottom layer is hemmed and also gathered at the top. So now you're going to attach the bottom layer to the middle layer. And after that, we just need to assemble the top part and connect the middle and the bottom layer with the top part, and ta-da! For the top part, I'm not going to go too much into detail just because I already have a complete separate tutorial step-by-step on inserting a zipper like this. But the fabric was see-through, so I needed some sort of lining, and I had this linen tote bag that I had cut out months ago, and I knew that I won't be using it, but there was just enough fabric to create the lining for the top layer. So I went ahead, cut it apart, gave it a really good press, and that's how the lining came about. And of course, we also needed the waistband. Drafting with the waistband was really easy. You can also opt just for a really long rectangle as a waistband as well. But I really like these curved waistbands because they give you that really nice shaping around your waist and not just a straight line. So that's how it came about once the top layer was done. And by the way, if you are a member of this channel, which is a paid function, then we do go in detail on creating the top layer and more detailed construction and drafting of this skirt. So definitely check out your perks. If you're not sure what memberships are all about, all of the information is going to be in the info box below. It's almost 30 minutes past midnight. I'm a little bit tired, but the skirt is almost done. So I'm gonna get it done tonight, tidy up all the seams, all loose threads, and then tomorrow morning gonna try it on. And here it is. Thank you so much for watching. I truly hope that you're going to enjoy these other videos as well. So definitely click on the video that you see on the screen, and I will see you next time. Until then, happy, thoughtful, and creative sewing. Bye!